Previously on Balls.
Complete bollocks. With me, Neil Collins, for 2 hours, talking football, talking booing. Didn't think I'd ever kind of enter a subject on that note. But, Zwee, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me clear?
Absolutely, Zwee, you're very clear. Zwee Maphala is one of the bravest Kaizer Chiefs fans you'll ever come across. When I put out a tweet yesterday saying, look, is there anyone out there that wants to actually debate the rightness of booing Kingston and Carter, booing certain players? As we saw with Arsenal when they played Chelsea on Tuesday night, Zwee, Nicholas Bentner got booed a lot. Zwee, can you put it? I mean, you've been a Kaizer Chiefs fan, for years since you were a kid. You cry when they lose, which I do when Arsenal lose and when Amazulu lose. I understand that you are a real Kaizer Chiefs fan. Can you explain to me, just to start this debate off, why do you boo Kingston and Carter?
Yeah, so let us start it from the player. When the player has been signed by the team, big team like Kaizer Chiefs, you go back to you journalists interviewing him. How does it feel to be signed by Kaizer Chiefs?
Yes.
The player will tell you, just to sign or wearing that shirt, even if on the bench, is a pleasure on itself. You understand?
Yep.
Then, when you sign a player like that, we were spoiled of success. You understand?
Yes, I do.
The next thing, we expect the player to play. We support the player few 3 days because we were not here like the support base of Kaizer Chiefs and let's say Amazulu, your team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not the same sometimes because it comes with the passion.
Yes.
Yeah, it comes with the pressure. The player have to perform. If he doesn't perform, there are certain things we don't know how to raise to the coach because sometimes we used to raise them on our branches, but look on the field, the passion, morals. When the player have to miss 2-3 chances, clear chances as a striker, we don't expect that player can get a chance for 3-4 days in a row when you have a good replacement on the bench. The next thing is, that's how we feel. The coach can hear, the management can hear, because it's not like we plan it. We don't play it. The player needs to be big enough to handle the pressure. Look at Siyabonga Nkosi. He was booed, then he was benched, of which I think the management did the right thing. When he came back, he performed. This guy cannot handle the pressure. The more we tell him what we need, the coach is always putting him under pressure by playing. He's supposed to let the player rest so that he can rethink and work on him as a man management. That's what is needed. Then that's how we voice our concern. As a fans.
This is how you voice your concern. I understand that, but do you think it helps the player? Do you think it actually motivates the player to do better, or is it ruining his confidence? Which would you say, Zwee?
It is really not helping the player. It doesn't help the player, but that's how we let the technical team realize how we feel about the certain player. The next thing, the coach, you need to protect the player, because when you see the player is not performing and the fans are not happy, to avoid the fans to throw what we call it a missile or the object on the field, you need to think before you play that guy, because we need his confidence back on track. He can perform at the practice ground. Perform very good, but on the match day, he doesn't do what you usually saw on the practice ground. So that is why now the fans, the anger they show on the field, we cannot keep quiet for the 90 minutes. Maybe we should have scored in 15 minutes. Then the player was already missed only 5 chances, almost 5 chances.
5 chances. Yeah. He did have a nice breakaway, but it was a lovely tackle from, I think, Roy Mahamudsa that actually derailed Nkarta's early bid in the Soweto derby. He had a lovely breakaway, brilliant tackle from, I think it was Mahamudsa, took the ball right off his toe. See, I struggle with this because I was completely on the side of the people saying don't boo him. Then I watched Nicholas Bentner play for Arsenal on Tuesday night. He's been on the transfer list 412 times. He's absolutely not got it. And I listened to Arsenal booing him, and it's the same thing that we're doing at Chiefs. Do you think, Zwee, that Kingston and Carter has a future at Kaizer Chiefs?
I won't lie to you. the future at Kaizer Chiefs is relying on the technical team, how they work with Gata. Because I'm not expecting him to be offloaded, but we need a certain player that can perform on a certain pedigree.
Yeah.
At Kaizer Chiefs, you always want the best players. And the thing they do, they don't sign the player that we as a fans looking for. We've been mentioning them, shortlisted them, but only to find that out of 10, they will sign only one. Then they take all the other rejectors from the team, expect us to go on the derby, to be humiliated by the other opponents who sign big players.
And look, Zwee, I just want to make the point to people listening to this, and I'll put this out as a podcast later on Twitter and on my blog.
Yes.
You are not some kind of young mad bloke that goes along just to boo players. You are a dyed-in-the-wool Kaizer Chiefs fan who cries when they lose, whose father persuaded him, that Kaizer Chiefs would be a good thing to follow. And for years you've supported the Amakosi. Am I right? Tell us a little bit about your background as a Chiefs fan.
Yes, I started supporting Kaizer Chiefs as young. I think when I realized I can differentiate Kaizer Chiefs from Orlando Pirates or Sundowns, then I was still young, maybe 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Then as I grow up, it goes to so emotional when I lose. Even if I lose against Amazon, even if I lose against Sundowns, looking at the games and analyze the game, where the loopholes are, and they find out the noble replacement of that certain player or certain position. It really hurts me when I know the coach knows that is our weakest point, then doesn't replace any, especially if you find out there is somebody on the stand, there's somebody on the bench who's supposed to go there and do it better. Yeah. Because as a fans, we also understand the team. We also understand the culture of the team. We also understand the techniques that are used. But it depends on the man management, the one who manages the teams, how he's playing against. Because you cannot always play a predictable team. You don't have plan B sometimes because we're feeling like we don't have a coach anymore.
No, I understand that. Zwee, how old are you?
Yes.
How old are you, Zwee?
Now I'm 34.
I'm 34.
Yeah.
Right. I want to make people understand. I'm just twittering this. I'm 34. You get emotional when they lose.
Yeah.
And yet you still
very emotional. Even my wife I had to kick the coffee table when Chiefs play when I'm not understanding. I can take you back for a while. If you remember or recall the match against Bloemfontein Celtics at PE, Nelson Mandela Stadium last season.
Yes.
You will realize how many opportunities those people missed, especially in Gaza. We were still patient in that. We didn't pull them, but the passion and the morals, we are very emotional about losing. The point is a lose to if you play with a team like whoever, because always expect a win.
Listen,
then it comes when the players score. Like in Gaza, we boo him, then he scored a goal. I won't lie to you, I didn't celebrate that goal.
Would a summary of Kaizer Chiefs, the Amakosi's feelings about Kingston and Carter be, where the hell is Majoro? Where is Majoro? Why isn't he playing? Is that what you're thinking?
Majoro, I think Majoro, they are playing politics against Majoro because Majoro is a quality player. He's a quality striker. That's why we bought him from Amazon, because he was bringing goals. And he came to Kaizer Chiefs on the first season. He did exactly what he was doing at Amazon. We're expecting him to get game time, start on the starting lineup. At least Ngada should start from the bench because we have Mosona. Now Mosona is injured. The coach doesn't know who must use instead of that guy because now he's relying on Carter. You cannot put a heavy load on players like Carter. We still have young stars. We need to see those young stars. Majoro was the promised guy when we were playing AFCON. Yes. As a national player, of which he showed that he can handle any pressure, he can play at any level.
Exactly.
When you bench that player, you are killing him.
Exactly.
You are killing him because at the end of the day, he will be struggling. Now we're going to play in AFCON, what you call it, African Champions League.
Yes.
Who are we going to rely on? We cannot rely on players like Gata. The management and technical team, they need to think before it starts.
Exactly. African Championship next year, you can see a situation where Kingston and Carter is playing ahead of Majoro, and still this booing goes on when you go to Egypt, when you go to the Congo, and you join Orlando Pirates, hopefully. in the Champions League. It is quite an interesting debate. I've spoken to Stuart about Lefranola Majoro. He says the Major is injured, had a niggling groin strain, and he did come on, to be fair, in the Soweto derby. He was on the bench and then came on. But is there a suspicion amongst Amakosi fans that there's something sinister, as Lucky Lakwati would say, something sinister happening with Majoro? Is that what you believe?
That's what I believe, because I've seen Majoro. I know Majoro, because coaches, they go to the media and claim the player is injured. And when you find out, you get the player to the pitch, you see this player was not injured, but they were playing just a false play because they don't want us to know exactly. Because what he's doing, Buster, now is going to fire back to him. Because should we lose playing that guy and keeping Majoro on the bench or even on the stand, it's not going to last his contract, I'm telling you. Because the pressure is not going to be against Nkatana, it's going to be against the coach who coached the team. That's how it works.
Zwee, listen, you stand in the terraces with the Amakosi, right, and you see them booing around you.
Yes.
Are you of the view that Stuart Baxter, despite winning the double last season, doesn't know better than you who to pick up front?
Yes, I can tell you that what he did, he got the players because he didn't know the team. He got the players there. The players were marvelous. I can mention a few of them who raised their hand, and Stuart Baxter was using them in the right position. For instance, Bennett Parker, before Stuart Baxter came in, Bennett Parker was being booed at some point, if you remember very well, because he was not to the standard that we were expecting him to be. Up until Stuart Baxter came in and worked with the player, because he knows the player, because I thought before he left the country, he knew about this guy. Then he worked with him. Then he was a driving force in our midfield, taking striker. That's why he was banging goals like no man's business.
Exactly.
Now, what is holding him back to introduce other players in that system?
Exactly.
Because you can hear that he got Neto Rizuki, but still doesn't play him, doesn't even make a bench in some cases. We still got Majoro. Then we still have a lot of young stars have been kept there. No introduction for the young stars.
Zwee, this is exactly what I was hoping you'd give me. Zwee, sometimes we need to speak to the fans. I was saying just before you came on, the fans pay their 40 Rand or their 80 Rand in the case of the African Champions League. They pay their money. They have a right to make themselves heard. And sometimes, I've got to say, I think Stuart Baxter is a listener. I think Stuart Baxter does listen to the fans. He does listen to people when they send him SMSs like I do in the middle of the game and say, well, look, they're very, very unhappy. Stuart is a listener. And this is your way, simply, of making yourself heard, yes? This is how the fans make themselves heard, how they make their... That's democracy in action, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Because when we boo a player, it will follow that people will throw objects on the field, of which is not going to look good.
Yeah.
Stuart, but if he's a good listener, he should now understand where he stands, then try to protect those things not to happen. Because when we do that, the team, the club is going to suffer because they're going to charge them and they're going to pay fines.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
they pay fines, who's losing? This is business. We pay our money to look to watch a good football. If that doesn't happen, while we have players on the field, not like we don't have players, the team got money to buy players.
Yeah.
The coach is spoiled with the players. He need to stick with what we had, or else listen to the assistant coach, because Dr. Kumar knows very well that team. That's where we find that maybe he doesn't want to listen to his assistant coach when things like this happen and nothing changed after all.
Mate, I can say this way, you're getting an awful lot of support on Twitter right now. I'm bashing out some of the quotes. People are listening and watching on www.balls.co.za. And Zwee, I really appreciate your honesty in coming on and your braveness, and I love speaking to fans. What I want is to find out more from the fans. Sometimes the fans see things before the journalists and even before the technical team. Brave stuff, Zwee. I'm going to get Shakes Kangwani to reply to this. Shakes is listening to this.
He's been there. He knows exactly what he's talking about. He's been a fan. He's been a footballer. He's been a demanded player to perform. He's been doing that. But at some certain point, they removed him because of whatever fitness they said. Yeah, we can live with that. But Shakes knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Right. All right, mate. Listen, Zwee, I will come back to you on this, either on Twitter or on this show, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming on today. Thanks for putting those views across. Like I say, we'll put that out as a podcast as well. Let's see what Kaizer Chiefs fans say. Let's see what Orlando Pirates fans say, for that matter, and Arsenal fans. When there's a player playing that you don't like, do fans have the right to boo him? Zwee, you say categorically yes.
Yes, of course. Of course. But the thing is, it doesn't make the player be strong, especially if that player is fragile. He cannot make it there. They must remember when they sign the contract, when they say to wear that jersey is a prize itself, then we have to perform for it. If you sign a striker, the mandate is to score goals.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
Not to break the transition, is to score goals. That needs to be clear. Nobody needs to explain to a striker in a professional football.
So, Zwee, how did you feel when Stuart Baxter said, this is not culture, this is amateurish, this is wrong? How did you feel?
I understand, because you cannot go to the media and say the fans are doing it right by booing. He has to protect the players. There, it is right. Then he had to, but in order to avoid that thing, you need to protect the player by not fielding him under these circumstances. You understand? Because now you see the pressure is mounting, and we want to defend this league. That's why we do this early in the season, because we see now it looks like we're going nowhere.
Blimey, mate. It looks like we're going nowhere. You won the double with Stuart Baxter last season. Majoro played a prominent role with Parker, and Carter not so prominent this season. Okay, do you think you can recover? Do you think you might win the double again this season?
I'm still looking forward, but to tell you the truth, I'm afraid if Barca doesn't make any changes from the match that we're going now next week, it's going to be something else, because I really don't understand, because we cannot meet the Platinum Stars or the team going to play against knockout. That cup is our cup, actually.
Okay, one final question. Was Kingston and Carter, the man that you boo, offside when he scored the equaliser against Orlando Pirates?
He was offside, definitely offside.
Yeah, okay, good.
Definitely offside. I cannot lie about that. That goal was offside. That's why I didn't celebrate it. I'm not going to lie. If it was a goal that was scored on a transition, I will celebrate. But now, after he did what he did, then he scored an offside goal. What am I going to celebrate for?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, mate. Well, Zwee, you were everything that I hoped for. When I went on Twitter looking for a good Kaizer Chiefs fan, you came to the party and you did it exactly like I was hoping you would. Thank you, Zwee. Obviously, there's controversy.
You put me on the radio, man. That is so appreciated by me.
Great stuff,
I would
Zwee.
love to be there every now and then.
Cool. Okay. Comfort Kaizer, Orlando Pirates fan next to me, my producer, agreeing with you wholeheartedly there. Well done, Zwee. And keep listening to Shakes after the music, because he'll be responding to what you've just said. He's listening. And let's get this debate rolling. Let's see if it's fair, if it's justified for fans to boo, and if they have the right to boo because they bought a ticket to watch. I think you've got a point. Thanks, Zwee.
Yeah, have a nice day. I will watch and listen from you.
Good stuff, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's absolutely brilliant. It's a bit of a risk when you go out to fans sometimes. I thought this way made sense. I think he's passionate. I think he's supported that club all his life. He pays his 40 rand. He makes his feeling felt. And if Stuart Baxter doesn't seem to be listening, as Arsene Wenger has found, as I suppose Jose Mourinho has found at Real Madrid towards the end, David Moyes at the moment going through it, Andre Villas-Boas, the Spurs manager, complaining about his fans even when they won against Hull last week and on a dodgy penalty, and then last night they won on penalties again. I think that there is room for booing. I just worry with the way they kind of picked on Kingston and Carter, and they picked on other players before. I do worry about it. We'll speak to Shakes. Shakes Kungwani, who played for Kaizer Chiefs, and we'll see what he's got to say about this subject. Don't forget.
Do you think it could also be the effect of the Black Label Cup? Because players are so used to selecting the team, and
absolutely,
so that authority of them having to bypass the coach, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe this has given the fans a feeling that they are in charge.
They run the team.
There's a couple of small clubs in England now that are run by the fans, by fan consortiums, and they certainly feel that they have a right to influence the coach's decision. And I think, given that they're our biggest footballing franchise, there's 15 million Amakosi in this country. I like the idea that they still feel that they have the right to influence the coach, and that by booing they might change Stuart Baxter's mind about Nkata and encourage the introduction of Bonjoro. But at the same time, just imagine that job. Imagine if all our listeners were shouting boo, boo every time we made a mistake, and hopefully cheering when you do something right. It's a tough old job, a football coach.
This is Balls Visual Radio.